Rock and rolling. Here we go. It's Thursday, you guys. Thursday Opportunity Zoom. My gosh, it's almost weekend. We made it. What an awesome week we have had. It's been a busy week, but it's been an awesome week. And I hope you have experienced blessings upon blessings upon blessings on your business and your life this week. So, Tam, my goodness, do we have an amazing guest today on our business Zoom?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Erika. We totally do. So, well, first of all, welcome everybody. My name is Tammy Maltby Melchizedek. If I have not met you, I am here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and most of you are in Africa, although we do have people joining us. I'm quite confident because of who our guest is today. He's kind of a legend, let me tell you. I've heard him speak a couple times. I feel like he's leaving money on the table because he's a very funny guy. He's a very funny guy. And he's got a really great story. Hang on one second, I'm gonna go back to gallery so I can see everybody. He's got a really great story about how he got into this industry. His name is Steve Swartz. Steve, I know he's got kids. I don't know how many kids he has, but I see pictures with he and his kids doing all kinds of fun stuff. And he travels all over the world. He came out of a military background, which is very cool. A lot of you know that my husband is a retired colonel, taught at the Air Force Academy for 9 years. So we have a real passion for people that serve and have served in the military. And so he is really a fun guy. But one of the most amazing things about Steve Swartz, aside from the fact that he's chairperson one, which to the average person doesn't mean anything. It just means that he helped a whole lot of people do a whole lot of greatness. That's what I say. And that he opened up Europe. He was one of the founding peoples to launch Europe when Europe didn't have all the opportunity that South Africa has right now. We know that our company New Age has put millions and millions of dollars getting ready to prepare for the launch of South Africa. And back in Steve's day, they weren't putting millions and millions of dollars into Europe. They had to create it. They had to build it before the company would even take them serious. And it was pretty incredible. So some of us have been here for about 1.5 years. We know that we've been building for a while, but they did not have all of what is being brought to South Africa right now. Nonetheless, he became extremely successful and Europe took off and started flying. And the story of how he even met these people and how he did this is pretty amazing. So I think you're going to really enjoy hearing Steve's story tonight. So, Steve, are you there, Mr. Swartz?
I am here.
Hi, Steve.
I was trying to stress you guys out. I showed up a little late. Sorry for that. I was trying to stress you out, like just see if I was going to show up. You were going to get stood up, you know.
I kind of felt like high school all over again. Like, will he actually come and pick me up for the day?
Yeah, like exactly, you know, and so it's a little bit of a stress test for you guys. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
I was on another call and I was like, oh, and I was like, okay, got to get this call like right now. And then the next thing was like on and on. I was like, oh my gosh, get off. And so sorry about that. Sorry for being.
So thanks, Steve, for taking your time. Really, truly, I mean that. Thank you. We've been trying to get you for weeks, my friend. And you've been jet setting all over the world. And so today we have
Mexico, not really all over the world, but
although you've been all over the world. Well, Mexico kind of counts. I've seen you on a beach or two.
I know.
So you got South Africa on the Zoom, Steve. You know that we're launching South Africa very, very soon. These people are waiting. We're waiting for the global convergence to take place. We're waiting for all the T's to dot, I's to dot, T's to cross, all that jazz. And people are waiting, but I want, and we're ready. They're impatiently ready, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So speak about your journey. I mean, take us back to when you were kind of in this place and you were looking at Europe and you didn't have even half the resources that are going to be given to Africa. So talk to us, encourage us. Can we do this?
I'll give you, so yeah, thank you for having me on again. My name's Steve Swartz. I live in Carlsbad, California, which is San Diego, basically, and San Diego, California, Southern California, a lot different than Los Angeles. Most people just know like LA. I'm like, dude, not LA at all. Okay. And so it's much different. But I've lived all over the country. I did grow up. My dad was a college football coach in America. It's that one where they pour the pads and all that stuff. So my dad was a coach and athletic director. So we moved around quite a bit. I was around that kind of, I thought I was going to be a football player, and I was for a while, but I mean, I'm not that huge, and your career doesn't last that long. And so I ended up doing, in college, I decided to go over to this little office and became a part of the training to become a military officer. And I was commissioned as a lieutenant in the Army back in the day, in 1993. And so I did that. I did 7 years. Went to Korea. I was a tank platoon leader, did all these different things as leading soldiers, over 350 soldiers I had at one point. I was second in command of that, and just a lot of responsibility at a young age. And then I was like, I don't really want to do this. And so I decided to get out around 7 years in. It was like a year before 9/11 happened. So I didn't know. I was like, I'm getting out. And so it was really right around this time, in 2000, what is it? That's like 21 years ago right now. I was like sitting there and I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said, need you have your own business. And he was military. So I was like, what am I going to do? I had no idea. Someone had tried to get me into Amway. Someone had tried to like get my electric service changed, all of these different things. I didn't know what network marketing was, and so then I read a book by Robert Allen, and he was talking about multiple streams of income. Made sense to me. I was like, I'm in. I want that, right? But I'm supposed to be having a job. I don't have a job. Military officers, especially captains, get recruited by corporate America really big. And so my friends were doing that. My friends were going in the FBI because they want military officers that have experience. And I was like, I'm going to go coach football and then like do this. I bought like a gift basket franchise. Can you imagine? From the Army captain to gift baskets. Wow. I had scripts and I needed to learn how to call people. So it's crazy. So I was doing that. I had a slideshow, but I don't know where the hell it went. I don't know. I don't have it. Like I got a new computer. I'm like, dude, where's all my slideshows? So I don't have it. And so I bought vending machines, like candy vending machines, like when an idiot, like $5,000. The gift basket business was like $3,500. So you're talking about getting started in network marketing. I don't know. Well, this is back in like 2000, where we had the internet was like, remember that? Like that was it. And so I was like, I didn't look like I had my good plan going, right? And so everyone's like, what are you doing? We're about to have a baby. And like, no one gets out of the military when you're pregnant because they have got free healthcare. And so I did, because I'm like, I'm not staying in. If I stay in, I'll be in for like another 10 years. I don't want to do it. So anyways, that was kind of my background. And I ended up getting a job at Dell, and I signed up in this network marketing business with Robert Allen called USANA. It's now like over $1 billion company. But back then the stock was like 80 cents. And it was a publicly traded company, and I didn't know anything. I had no idea. I showed some people stuff. Some people said yes. Some people joined. Had a leader that I was working with that was making pretty good money, and I just followed what he did. And while I was working at Dell, I built this business to 6 figures, and I quit my job at Dell back in 2003. And so I was multiple 6-figure residual. Like the money comes in every week, and it's pretty good. I moved in different parts of the country in the U.S. Just to check out. I mean, I would basically move, let's go to the beach. Let's live in the mountains. Let's live over here. So kind of moved around different places, became friends with Tim Sales. And that's where we ended up talking about ideas to try to get that company to go bigger. And they didn't want to do it. So it ends up creating RX, which you guys know, has from my background, has been the foundation. So I was one of the first people in RX with Tim. I was like, have you signed up yet? Dude, I need to join. Sign up, hurry up, get in. So like we were the first couple of people. And so you would say, well, gosh, of course you're successful. I mean, you started it. And when you mentioned a minute ago, millions of dollars into the market in South Africa, we didn't even have, I don't even think they spent millions. They didn't even like a few million to get the whole RX started, right? So that's why we had 5 vitamins, man, like 5 pathetic vitamins. And they were pathetic, I say, because they were made by Fred and Mark. I mean, I'm just joking, Fred and Mark, but like, they're not exactly nutrition guru. We didn't have Deanna yet, but through some connections with like me and Tim, we got Deanna. She came in, and then the whole thing started growing and growing. Now, I will tell you, I've been doing network marketing for 20 years. And I'm going to pause the story here because I can feel what you guys are going through, right? So like I was in a company that was already at the time when I joined it 10 years old, which is kind of like you guys are at. I mean, I just thought of that. It's like, this is 10 years. My chair is squeaking. What the hell? I get a new chair. So 10 years, that's where we were at when I was in USANA. And I remember going to this convention and my friend, he was my team member. I would beat him over the head. His name is Simon Chan from MLM Nation. If you guys ever heard of him before, maybe you haven't. I don't know. He runs a podcast, but he was one of my distributors and he was American, born in New York, but his parents were from Hong Kong. So he spoke Mandarin, Cantonese, Chinese languages, and he spoke with a Brooklyn accent, you know, like he had this, it was weird. He's Chinese, looks like Bruce Lee, and he has like a New York accent, right? So I was like, and he was a great kid. And he goes, and so they said, we're going to, so they always had all these markets. And I felt like Australia was already built in that company and this, and like, I felt like I missed the boat on all these things. And I wasn't really interested in building over in Malaysia. So they had Malaysia, and Malaysia is one of the top, I don't know if you guys know, but one of the network marketing, it's a big market. There's a lot of network marketing companies that go into Malaysia. I don't know why, but it's a pretty good market. And so it's one of the top markets around the world. Anyways, they said they're going to launch this. We don't know. He goes, I'm going to go do it. How do I do it? I was like, I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know how to tell you to go launch Malaysia. So they said they're going to launch it. It's going to start at this date. But in that country, you needed to have an office. You need to have everything squared away before you could launch it. You had to have in other words, you had to invest in the market before. Okay. Now I'll tell you a story about how Europe is a little different, Sitch. So he goes there. He goes there, rents a condo. He starts doing meetings, running ads. He's getting people to come, and people are starting to come. And but he can't sign anyone up. So he's there. And then this rule got messed up. And then this thing didn't happen. And this regulation. And next thing is a year. It was over a year. He had to wait. He had a dude where he had to go home, he had to come back. He would go back and forth to Malaysia, which is from Los Angeles. It's like, by the time you get over, you got to fly to Hong Kong, then you got to fly 5 hours to Malaysia. It's like a 17-hour, 20-hour flights, right? Waiting around the airport. He was going back and forth. He's started a family. I'm not really involved in it other than just giving him some advice. So I'm going to tell you that took 1 year to finally launch, right? And when it launched, the team went really big. It went big. But here's the cool thing. Malaysia was a really good market for us. But the leaders that came out of Malaysia, just like the leaders that are going to come out of South Africa, they launched, and there's other huge countries inside of Africa, right?
Yeah.
I know there's a plan to go to other areas, right? And so that Malaysia decision, right, by Simon, it wasn't by me. And it took a year. It was so painful for a year. I know you guys are like, dude, no one can sign anyone up. What the hell? What are we going to have? What's the products? What are we doing?
Totally.
What's wrong with us? Right? All of these questions. And you're like, I thought you joined that. Haven't you signed up yet? What can't you do it? What's the story? They had stacks of applications in paper. And you're like, those are people joining. When are they going to sign up? Right? So it took forever. Right? And so everyone's just so you got to take yourself back. What you got to do in your mental state is take yourself to the higher vision of what's the end goal for you. The end goal for you is not to join 5 other network marketing companies. That's called suicide. That's ridiculous. You don't want to do that, right? You have a goal of what your life wants to look like. And then the timing of things are going to line up. So from that team that went to Malaysia and built it, and it was pretty good. But some of the leaders from there with Simon went to this country called the Philippines. And I'm telling you, that country, the Philippines, I know it's a bunch of islands and things, and they created, I think probably, and still today, the leaders there, and people in the Philippines don't make a lot of money, right? They have leaders that are making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a week. And that's a lot of money for the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably even making more. And they probably, from the time the Philippines started and I had nothing to do with the Philippine market, and we didn't have matching bonus in that company, which is really sad. And so, and so that led to about 150,000 people signing up from the Philippines. And then that doesn't mention the customers. So what you're in front of right now is you got to have some patience, and it's almost there, and it's there, and you're like, and almost is a word you never want to use anymore because it's like almost, right? And so, but it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. So if you lose faith and you get distracted with this other thing or that thing or this thing, you're going to be sorry, okay? You're going to be very sorry that you did that. And maybe you'll justify why, oh, I wasn't sorry, but I'm telling you, you're going to miss a huge opportunity. So that's why you have to have patience. I remember that from history of my business, that became this huge magnificent, situation. But it took over a year to get the thing from, like, they moved there and thought it was starting like next month, and it didn't. Next month was like next year and a half. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So you only need that a year. Don't worry about it. It's coming. It's happening. Okay. So that's one. The other thing is, then we signed up and we did RX, and then we were just the US, and then this other team guy did join from the Netherlands, so that started some things in the Netherlands. I had really not much to do with that. I had a little bit to do with that, not much, and that was going. But then there was like Cynthia Heffron. She introduced this guy Rui from Portugal to us. He was in another company and he wasn't happy. So then all of a sudden we launched Portugal. I'm like, Portugal? Like, I didn't even know where Portugal was, right? Like I had never been to Europe, right? And so I had no idea. And it's just an ugly American. What do you want? Like, we don't know where Portugal. I don't know. We don't go to Portugal. Like, and so. We probably didn't even know they speak Portuguese, right? Like, hello. So I ended up going with them, and I flew over and going to this meeting in Portugal, and they were amazing. The people were great, but there was a lot of problems. I mean, we did the shipping and all of this stuff. And then like, it was really bad, right? It was like, everything was bad, right? Everything was bad. It wasn't smooth, right? We weren't even open in Portugal, but we were sending stuff there and doing these. And so we were trying to get it going. And the philosophy of that was, we'll build the market based on the leaders, right? Based on the leaders. And then if it gets bigger, then we'll start investing in the thing, which makes more sense versus investing and then no one shows up and you wasted all your money, right? And so that's how we started in Europe. And so from there, that gentleman started running some things and getting some people interested in the United Kingdom, and the most negative place on the earth. I'm just kidding. My girlfriend's from England. I have 3 kids, by the way. They're 20, 18, 16, and I have my gal Layla, who's from Liverpool, and she's here with her kids right now. She's got 16 and a 13-year-old, and so we're kind of got this mixed mash of people, and we're having fun, and we're just trying to put it all together. And so that's kind of like my background in my life, like my kids and stuff like that. And so network marketing has always provided me with this lifestyle, and now even bigger because of the residual income from our company. And it's especially good in our kind of company, and especially good when you have nutrition and products that and weight loss and products that make a difference in people's lives, because you'll get repeat customers, which will give you this lifestyle that'll allow you to do things. But going back, when we did Europe, the people were taking the products around, like they had to pay. Imagine the distributors were paying for the shipping to go into Northern Ireland. I mean, I never like Northern Ireland. That was like always on the news when I was a kid, like IRA terrorists and things. I didn't know anything about Northern Ireland, right? So we were building with a gal decided to take charge, and she started building in Northern Ireland. But she had been a Mary Kay, so she was building the business like. They were getting the deliveries to their house and going out around and like delivering it, which is not the way I would want to do it, but they were making it happen. And so it went from there, and we built that up, but the volumes weren't very big. And we're talking about like 5,000, 10,000 volume a week. It's not exactly, the company's like, yeah, it's a little bit more. We get a little bit more. And so it took a while, and we had no employees. We had maybe like 1 employee, right? 1 or 2 from the company. And eventually, through dumb luck or whatever, we were able to through some advertising actually, and through a couple of people not giving up, other people quit. Many people quit. Trust me. big talkers and they're gone. And so you got to be able to handle some of that. It's going to happen to you in your business. If you don't, if it's not, it's just the way it is. It's life. You have people, you're working with people in a business. People are going to have different ideas. They're going to move this, but you got to stay the course. So we stayed the course and we kept moving. And eventually we were able to get a guy that was tired of his company and his network marketing business. So what you should be looking for right now is everyday people that you can help with the products and but then also keep your mind open to some different types of people that are in network marketing companies that may not be having a great time. And so maybe you need to figure that one out a little bit. So we were able to get a leader that had that situation. And then all of a sudden the United Kingdom blew up. This gentleman became a founder in the company, and in our company, like being a founder means if you help build a market, then they'll give you a foundership. If, there's other criteria in there, like your income, do people like you? I mean, there's some other things. There's all these things. So I got foundership in the United States. And then through all of this stuff, it started going into, and then that led to France, which, Vinny is probably the number 1 earner now, Vinny in France. And she is 30. She makes a lot of money.
Wow.
And about 6 years ago, she was working as a hospital admin in a little French ski town. I've been to that ski town in France. I went to a training with her. But what I did as a leader is I always went to Europe. I went there and I went to the different trainings. I showed up and I basically built the relationships. Americans are really good at going to the event and going home. I'm like, you guys are idiots. Like, what you should be doing is hanging out with people, talking to people, getting to know people. And I'm not saying I'm making fun of my own folks, but I'm just saying I've seen it where in Europe, it's like a big deal. They come to the event. It's like they get dressed up. They'll have a party afterwards. It's a big shindig and everybody wants to be a part of that. And then that's where I would get to know people and get to, and like create the relationships. And I think that's the real important thing. There's the nuts and bolts of like how you build the business. You talk to people, you do this. So you got to get through, if you have the long-term vision of, I'd really like an income that comes in every week. Do I have to do a lot for it? No, not at the moment. Do I need to make 65 phone calls tonight? No, I don't. Should I? Yeah, probably. But if I don't, but I have other things happening. I'm taking my kids to college. I'm doing all these things. And the network marketing income provides this lifestyle that allows you to do it. So you have that vision. And so to get there, what do you have to do? Well, you have to be able to invite people to look at information. You have to be able to follow up with them. You have to be able to handle a no. You have to be able to get a customer. You have to be able to get a rep. And you have to stay the course, and you have to be willing to get better, and don't let your ego be bigger than your bank account. Don't let your ego, well, I know more than you. No. Be more humble, but then do the work. And that's the stuff that's sometimes not as much fun. Making a phone call to someone and like they don't answer, that's not fun. But so what? You have to have that vision of the thing. So that's where you got to do that work. You can't bypass the work. You can't say, I have some system where everyone just signs up and no one talks to anybody. Well, good. That team will disappear as fast as you got it in. Okay. So you got to do the work, and you got to be good at inviting and good at all that. And that's a whole nother conversation. But so the little things that are the pain points for you, you got to get through those and be able to handle that stuff and be able to handle adversity. A leader's job, and I came from the best leadership school out there. I mean, you can read all these books about it. I'm like, yeah, it's not really doesn't translate, and you never led anything, so I don't want to read your book. So I would say that your job is to solve problems, right?
Yes.
Your job isn't to create problems. If you find yourself always pointing out problems, are always creating a problem, are always complaining, change it, right? Think of being, and I coach football, I coach sports, and my dad did it. And they're like legendary leadership in these types of things. And you might think it's just a sport, come on. But it's a good vehicle to teach leadership. It's a good thing where you have to show up and you can't just quit, and you got to go to practice and you got to do all these things, and you got to show up when you don't want to. Right. And so those things are key leadership trainings. And that's what I grew up in. And one of the best things you could ever do is you have to think like a brand partner And then you have to think like the owner of the company, right? So you have to think about like, you have to put yourself in both positions sometimes, right? So what does the company want? And then what do I want to do? How do I think as a owner of the company? And how do I think as a distributor or a brand partner, right? How would I think? What should I be thinking? So also, when you have a leader, they have a lot of responsibilities that people coming at them. If all I do, they always say that, you know what, rolls downhill. No, it doesn't need to roll uphill or downhill, right? You don't really need to. That's some dumb thoughts, right? Like that's a thing that everyone says, but it doesn't need to be the truth. What you need to do is help your people be, you could point out a problem, then offer a solution, right? So don't just be a problem pointer outer. My gosh, the convergence, you could be shooting people all day long. I've been doing it somewhat. You could do it all day long, right? And trust me, some of it's justified, right? But you got to get back, focus on what you're good at, getting people into the business, getting people into the products. Focus on those basics. When everyone else is whining and complaining, you're going to go like this. So all of these people, we all started in RX like this, right? And there's people that were put in like they jumped in, like they were ahead of me or whatever. And there's some people that went, woo, right? And then they went, boo. I just kept going. Now I think on a residual basis, I mean, I'm probably like number 2 or 3 income earner. I don't know. But like it went to 7 figures because of the matching bonus, because of these different things that go on with the comp plan. So you have the vision of where you're at now and then where you want to go, right? And don't get distracted by the latest new company coming in or we are the latest new company, okay? Guess what? And you've got the firepower of a $500, $600 million vehicle here to help you. That's a big difference. Wow. And they actually have a GM, a guy who's like running, Craig, you got the whole thing. You got the whole thing going on. You got a commitment, right? And so it's right in front of you, right? It's right in front of you. So in a year from now, you won't remember if you started in August, September, October, you won't remember. Yeah. All you'll know is, I don't want to miss the boat. Okay. I don't want to miss it. I want to be in front of all this. And so I know maybe you want to do question and answer, but I've been doing this for a while and I know the thought processes that go through your head and then the doubts and then doubt. You got to get out of doubt and you got to get into like, boom, like we're making this happen. I'm going to lead the charge and you decide what your future looks like. Right. And there's many possibilities. And then you can take it from Africa and you can go to other countries, right? Within Africa and then even outside of it, but start where you're at. And I don't know. I mean, I see so many different companies come along and a lot of times they're led maybe by a former network marketer. So it sounds good, but the dude's not Fred Cooper. Okay. The dude is not Mark Wilson. They don't know what they're doing, right? If you said to Steve, you need to start an international, I'd be like, do what? I was like, I don't want to do any of that. Like, I don't know how to do a payroll. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do any of that. Okay. This is the greatest business because it's already set up for us. We just need to invite people, plug them in. Some people are going to fall out and and then if that's happening too much, slow down and say, what am I doing wrong there? But don't stop. Here's another thing for momentum. You guys are going to be in a momentum as it grows. Don't stop and go, well, I need to train everyone now. No, train them as you go and stay in your momentum. Okay. Mm-hmm. You cannot become a manager of your team. You're going to then you're going to be like the dictator. That's like, why aren't you doing this? No, what are you doing? You got to go. That's why I do have leads coming in. I'm like, yeah, I can tell all you guys what to do, but like, I need to call and people don't know who I am, right? They don't know. They're just like, well, whatever I have to talk to them. I don't tell them, oh, trust me. If you're trying to tell people how much money you make, you're either making too much or you're making too little. If I tell you I make this much money from home, they're like, wow, you're lucky. Like they can't, they're like, you got in early, you're this. If I say I just started, I'm not making anything, well, that's not impressive either, right? So don't talk about it. Talk about them, okay? And where they want to go and their vision and their goals. Focus in on them, less on you. Get your fears out of the way, focus in on the person. And that's the key to the whole business. People want to be listened to. Right. And so that's why you got to be interested, not interesting, right? You got to be interested in your person, not interesting to them. Now you can say, hey, I want to run this. This is happening. you know, this doesn't always happen. It's an opportunity. So you can do a little of that ground floor hype talk. You can, but don't just be like, oh, it's going to be so easy. You're going to get in. Don't do that, because you're going to have a bunch of nobodies, bunch of people that don't do anything, right? Say it's going to take some work, but this is a great opportunity. Would you know, people today, if I was to present you, let's just say these are cars, right? And I presented you with, this is your old car. This is your old car here. And this is the old car. And it's kind of like, you know, you can't really see through, the lights are jacked up, like rust is all over it. And I can offer you a new paint job on your old car, or I can offer you a new car. What do you want? You want a brand new, you know, Mercedes, or do you want your old Toyota that's been painted? What do you want? You want the new car. And so most people are looking for new opportunity. They want new opportunity. And what you're selling them ultimately is happiness. That's it. That's your job, is to sell them happiness. Okay. And what is that? Happiness. Sell them happiness. What is talking about? Like trying to sell them a product. No, you're trying to sell them a product to make their life better, right? To make them happier. That's your job. That's the whole thing. Why am I building this business? To make residual income, to do what? To make myself happier and people around me happier, right? You know, like, why do we use the water bottle? Because it's, you know, why? Well, to make myself happy. I'm not getting toxins in there. To like make my life better, to make me happier. Suppose, right? That's the whole idea. That's why we have our iPhones and our phones, because it's going to make us eat. The iPhone is supposed to make our life happier. Sometimes the messages come through, oh my gosh, this thing turn off. But no, but the idea is that it makes your life better, right? And so that makes you happy, okay? And so follow your team, listen to what they're saying. The leadership is here, and you know, it's right in front of you. So I don't know if that's anything else, but I did all that, and now Europe has gone crazy. Europe went from like 10,000 a week in sales to like, they've had weeks over 5 million. They average, you know, over, you know, 3 million a week in sales. People go on the Shark Tank and all those Dragon's Den from the UK. They go on those shows and like, well, we had 1 million in sales. I'm like, yeah, but you don't even make any money. Like, you made like what? No, you don't even make a profit. Like, our network marketing businesses are so much bigger. Okay. And so you can be paid very well for that. And so be the positive person, know your end goal, where you're at, where you want to go, and then backtrack how to get there. And you got to go through those things. You can't avoid talking to prospects. You can't avoid doing the trainings. You can't avoid all those things. You got to go through it, and it's fun. And we can't wait to get together, come to South Africa, rock the house. Let's do it.
Wow.
Wow. It's right, Erika. Oh my gosh. See, Swartz, you are worth the wait.
I'm telling you. Steve, thank you. My gosh, you've said so many things. I've made notes like crazy. But one of the things that you said, Steve, that I'm going to bind around my own heart is that you have to pay the price, right? If you're a pioneer, if you open up a new market, there will be a price that you have to pay. And it's sometimes, I think, when something is cheap, we don't respect it. But when you put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, you get over the fear, you get over the doubt, you make up your mind, you stay committed. There's beauty in that process. It changes who we are. It changes who we become. And I sometimes wonder, you know, if we really had to get your salary, your weekly matching bonus, right? What kind of people are we going to be? You know, I think if you go through the pain of it, then you also become a wiser steward at the end of the day. So I love that. And then I want to highlight something else, Tam, that Steve said that I want the team to hear. It rises and it falls on your own leadership abilities. So the way you look at things, the way you perceive things, are you stuck on the problems? Are you solution oriented? Are you listening? Are you equipping and empowering? Are you leading and loving well? That is really kind of the key, what I heard Steve say today. And I want to encourage everybody on this call has big teams. Guys, I think if there's a time to really zone into the team's needs and what your team's desire. I really want to encourage you, strengthen your own ability to lead well. I think you need to be in tune with your people all the time. I loved what you said. Don't manage your team. Good Lord, do we not have enough of that in the world, right? It's about leading your team and setting an example for your team. I love that. My gosh, there's so much here, Steve. Thanks for sharing all of this with us today. I think it was such a good word in season. I see people clapping hands and sending hearts and going crazy. It was just amazing. Coming from somebody, you guys, who, Steve didn't say this, but I've heard him speak how in his lunch hour at Dell, he would sit in his car during his lunch hour and make phone calls.
Yep. Slam a Starbucks and make phone calls. That's what I did.
That's where you started. And, you know, we look at Facebook posts and stuff, but we don't often realize where people started.
No, they all think you just rolled into town like, woohoo, right? Matter of fact, like there was a lot of people, and you guys are going to see it, right? And one of the little sayings I like to say too is there's two letters that separate winners from whiners, right? So don't be a whiner, be a winner, all right? And so winners think differently. Winners, and if you've never been something where it's competitive or you've never been something where you had to perform, that doesn't matter. Now's your chance, right? And you can decide to have a winning attitude or you can decide to have a negative attitude. We all know how the negative attitude goes. It doesn't really go well, right? And so it doesn't put us in the right spots. And so I just would say, you know, you have to go through those trials and tribulations and, you know, and then do that work, and it's going to work out for you guys. But you guys are in front of something massive, and you want to be there ready to take it on. There was plenty of people who I've seen when we started, my gosh, we started RX, all these people came out of the woodwork. Oh, give me a spot, put me in. I was like, what does that mean? You want me to put you in so you can do nothing? Like, oh no, then if I do work and it goes good, then you're going to decide to do something? Oh yeah, I don't want you. That's what the way I was like. Maybe I have a bad attitude about it, but like, I felt like that was the wrong, like you're willing to wait for me to do something. And if it goes good, oh, you'll start working. Oh, really? Good. You're not invited. So I was a tough stance because a lot of people are like, well, that guy was really good in this. I was like, no, it's the wrong attitude. And those people will not be there to help you really make it work. They're going to be there in another company. And trust me, all those types of people that did that, none of them did anything. So don't get fooled by the big talker who doesn't do it. Okay. I've seen it. And people say, well, Steve, you're so brutal. I was like, yeah, but I got rid of all those people out of my life, which was just so much drama based on like, you know, nothing. And the only way you get good at figuring this out is through some experience. So I take all people that want to do it. Yes, absolutely. But if you find yourself working with someone, all they do is complain and they're producing no results, kindly exit the conversation. Kindly. Yeah, don't just, don't do that, because then you're going to I'm too busy. I'm over here. Hey, if you need me on a call, I've got another call to do. I'd love to hear more. Everything's great, but I got to go. I'm busy. You got a prospect, boom, not negative. You're never like telling someone off. I've done that. That doesn't work either. And everyone just feels bad and you just look like a jerk. And so don't do that. Okay. I've done it. What do you want?
Wisdom according to Steve Swartz. Don't be a jerk.
I've been, listen, I mean, you got to protect yourself too, right? Like I like to have fun. Guys, no matter what, the business has to be fun. If it's miserable.com, then who wants to be a part of that? Right? So I'm always joking, and maybe you don't have a sense of humor, but always find something fun. I like to have fun, and the business should be fun. Okay. And so I don't like to be super negative and all that. I think of these things, but remember, people are going to follow positivity, and you have to make, whatever situation, you got to turn it around positive. We haven't opened yet. Yeah, that's for good reason, because we're doing this convergence and So even if you're like, I don't even know if I believe that at the moment, but like, even if you're there, you got a positive spin it to yourself, and you got to, you know what I mean? You got to turn it into a positive, right? You know, that's it. We're running out of ammunition. Well, at least we have 4 bullets. Okay, we got 4. We're good, right? Like, right? You can't be like, well, yeah, we're all gonna die. Oh my God, we're all gonna die. You know, they can't be like that. And that's where most of the societies around the world are, because they watch stupid reality TV and everyone's whining and complaining to each other, blaming everybody else but themselves. And that's Loserville. Okay, so you don't want to be there.
I love it.
Don't be
Thanks
a
for
jerk.
saying that.
Don't live in Loserville.
Yeah.
You have got profound. I hope you guys are writing these nuggets down. I mean, these are so.
I probably say things that, I don't know, I don't want to brag, but I'll say things that sometimes people are thinking, but they won't say it, right? And somehow I get away with it. I don't know, normally.
True. It's good. It's
Well,
good.
Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. We really loved having you on. As I said, you are very worth the wait. And all these beautiful people in South Africa, I hope you guys were encouraged. Let's give some shout outs to Mr. Steve. Yeah, no kidding. And you know, you can put in the chat there how much you appreciate him for jumping on with us today and, you know, just sharing his experience, because it's real. And you really are sitting on the cusp of something. I love what he said. You're not going to remember. You're not going to remember if it was July, August, September, October, November. It won't matter in a year, because in a year, things are going to be very different. And so timing is everything. And this is incredible. So Steve, thanks for taking the time. Like I said, you were well worth the wait. And we will see you all next time. Good night, everyone. Have a beautiful
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
Night. Lekker slaap allemaal. Lekker braai.
Lekker braai. I'm not sure what that is,
Bye.
but I'll say
Thank
it.
you, Steve.
Thank
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you.
you so much.
Thank you very much.